the first step of any dealer adopting any kind of AI solution and tool, and for sure AI agent, is only going to work if you have clean data in place.
From the Aishin Broadcast Studio, it's the Executive Spotlight.
Welcome to another episode of AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. I'm Kyle Alexander, and joining me today is Ilana Shabtay, Vice President of Marketing at Fullpath. Hi, Ilana. Thanks for joining me today.
Hey, how are you? Good to be here.
Doing well. Thanks again for coming on Executive Spotlight. Excited to talk to you about Fullpath here today. You guys rebranded from Auto Lead Star back in 2023, just a few years ago. What does the Fullpath name capture about what you do for dealers, maybe that the old name didn't?
Yeah, so it was a big turning point for the company at the time. Fullpath really reflects what we do for our dealerships because we give our dealerships the full path, the full journey of a car buyer's shopping experience. So part of having a customer data platform is having that identity resolution and that 360-degree view of the customer and showing the full digital footprint, potentially also even on and offline, any data points that we can get in that shopper profile so that dealers can really see, again, the full path or the full journey. So it does really reflect the value that we're giving our dealers. But we are also giving our dealers the full path in terms of data organization and activation. So it does also sort of reflect the technology that we provide to our clients and to our customers and partners. So being able to say, hey, now you have the full path from data organization, so data consolidation and hygiene and integration, to activation, right? So optimization on the website, to SMS and email marketing activation, to dig ad activation, and OTT and Amazon ads and any kind of media mix you want activation. So being able to give our dealers the full path from, again, data organization to data activation it was a nice reflection of what we do. So Auto Lead Star, for those who knew us then, it was a nice way to kind of get us ready for the next phase of the company, which we introduced in 2023.
Awesome. Yeah, sounds like a nice smooth transition there for you guys. And now Fullpath kind of positions itself as the AI ecosystem for dealers with that CDP at the core. Now that this shift has happened, what does a dealer see once all their fragmented data now lives in that one place?
Yeah, so I'll take us back for a second just to lay the groundwork, and then I'll talk a little bit about what the new ecosystem does. So sure. The CDP that we introduced in 2022 really did introduce the CDP category in automotive, where we explained and taught the industry about the importance of consolidating all of your data into one platform, which in our case is the customer data platform, and really lays the groundwork for dealers to be able to activate that data in the best way through AI. So the first step of any dealer adopting any kind of AI solution and tool, and for sure AI agent, is only going to work if you have clean data in place. You'll hear, I'm sure you have in the podcast, people come on and say, hey, we've tried to invest in AI, or we're skeptical because it doesn't work, or there are, we've tried it and it never worked. Sometimes it's because the solution or the product might not be good. In most cases, it's because the AI is working off of data that is super siloed and isn't properly cleaned and set up for success for the AI to actually work properly.
Absolutely.
So that's something that was a huge part of the journey, right? So introducing the CDP and having that as part of dealers' infrastructure was really core to the next phase of the technology revolution in automotive, which is AI agents. I know we'll probably get into that, but now having an AI ecosystem that sits on top of a CDP, or like you said, the CDP is the core to that, it means that the AI will just be so much more valuable and productive for the dealers.
Sure, and you're absolutely right. I want to talk to you about some of these AI agents you're working with. Fullpath recently launched a new CRM with these AI agents that are layered in. Tell me more about this new CRM and what the AI agents are actually handling for dealers out there.
So the CRM, which is currently in beta, is a CRM that has agents kind of living on top of it. It's an agentic CRM, which I believe in the next few years, most CRMs will go in this direction. But there's really two things that Fullpath is introducing to the industry with this CRM. The first is that the CRM is the first CRM that is coming from a CDP. So there is value to going CDP to CRM. It means you have that data infrastructure and you have that cleaned data to work with, so that now when you launch or implement that CRM on top of the CDP, A, it's just a much smoother implementation process, but B, you can do a lot more with that CRM because the data is there and ready to go, and way more, again, like productive, efficient, based on everything we've talked about up until now. The agents that sit on top of it is the really exciting piece, because you can have now salespeople, be given their day by a task creating agent, where that agent will look at all the data in the CRM and look at all of the leads and decide, these are the leads that you should be working off of, and these are the tasks that you should be creating based on what it sees in the data. So that's one example of an agent that I think most CRMs will have within the next few years. So a task builder agent that's automatically creating and prioritizing and assigning tasks based on urgency, making sure that nothing falls into the cracks, and really increasing bottom line at the dealership. Another agent that we built on top is the Omni agent. That's what we call it, but it's really like a digital oracle, like an internal GPT. This is super critical. One, because if you're going to have salespeople using GPT on the side to figure out what to do with their leads, you don't want them to be uploading PII and privacy and private information about customers to ChatGPT. That's a huge concern that's going to surface over the next few years. So having an agent that's built on top of your data, that's secure, that is trained with your CRM in a secure environment, will avoid any security breaches, which is extremely important in this next AI era. And then B, will also make sure that they're able to use, like, everyone has sort of their digital assistant, and they can use this GPT to quickly write emails for them, or understand what's happening, or ask questions about the database. And it will surface up the best answers in the most productive way, so that salespeople can actually really work their CRM in the most productive way. So that's another agent. And just to give some use cases on how salespeople can be using something like Omni or their digital oracle. So, asking it questions like, which vehicles have been on my lot for more than 40 days, right? So understanding which vehicles have been on the lot, and then matching that to people who might be interested in it. That's an interesting use case for them. Or asking, what can you prepare as an upsell pitch on the 2026 model for X lead, right? So all of that is something that you can expect salespeople to use in Omni. I'll run through two more agents.
Go for it. Yeah.
One is lead handling agent. And this is something that I do think will take the industry a bit more time to adopt, because it is a little bit scarier to unleash control, right? You want to have someone on you want to be able to answer leads 24/7, but that means that you're going to allow for an AI agent to handle those leads on off hours. And that's actually where you get the most amount of inquiries. So having a trained AI agent on your dealership's hours and facilities and things like that, but even on your dealership culture, and you can train this agent even on how you want it to talk and what do you want it to say, which salesperson do you want it to offer based on which category of questions. So really you can get sophisticated with the lead handling agent, but that's a typical lead handling agent that's going to handle leads, especially during off hours, and then either pass it on to a human or just take it down until the appointment is actually set. So that's another agent that we have on the CRM. And then the last one I'll briefly talk about is voice agent. So handling actually inbound calls and leads. So the voice agent is an on and off hour phone that has human grade intelligence, and it's logging every single detail and handing off warm leads to your team with basically zero friction. And what's really nice about the voice agent is that it will also, because it's part of the CRM, automatically update details about the shopper as the call is going. And that's a pain point for a lot of GMs and sales leaders in dealerships, because you have to rely not just on actually getting the call and getting the lead, but then updating back to the CRM. If that's happening automatically, that's incredible, especially for training and bringing in new salespeople into the mix. So having that all in one record is going to be game changing for the sales teams in dealerships.
Absolutely. Those agents sound super powerful and super helpful for dealers out there. I want to touch on something we've kind of talked about throughout this conversation, and is kind of unifying the data, bringing it into that one place, getting it out of all the silos and whatnot. I understand Fullpath has an integration hub that's connecting more than 200 tools across a dealership's tech stack. Talk to me a little bit about why that kind of open connectivity matters so much for how a dealer runs their business.
Yeah, so we have an integrations hub. We have about 200 vendors in there already. And dealers are connecting their CRM, their DMS, their website, potential call providers in there as well. And it is so critical because it allows for dealerships to be able to use their own tech stack, their existing tech stack, and invest in a CDP like Fullpath, and be able to say, hey, I'm using Fullpath for XYZ, but I might, still use another vendor for calling, or another vendor for Digad, whatever it might be, and being able to integrate that back into the CDP so that then the CDP still has that 360-degree view of the customer is allowing for our dealers to still get that value and still have the control over their data. And I think that's really the core of it, right? We want dealers to feel in control of their data. The only way that they're going to be able to do so is if they can integrate it and see it all in one place, and then, of course, activate on that data.
Another thing I want to touch on here, too, is Fullpath is ISO 27001 and ISO 42001 certified, and that covers both data security and responsible AI. What does that pair of certifications mean for a dealer that's trusting you with their shopper data?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and it's something that I hope will become standard in the industry, because it is really important as we continue to invest in data integrations and AI across the board. These are certifications that really need to be standard for every vendor and every software. It basically means that there are certain security guidelines that we abide to, that we basically spend hours in audit time to get there, to make sure that we really are giving our dealers the most secure experience. It means that their data is not shared across different dealerships, right? So every dealership has its own secure database. It means that with AI specifically, also, we're making sure that we're not using any of the data from our dealerships and from their internal GPT systems to then be trained in the larger public GPTs, right? So there's a lot of regulations and guardrails around sharing the data so that GPTs can't just use it to then just train themselves on personalized data. And we, go through rigorous audits to show that we don't do that and to prove that we don't do that. And then we get the certification so that our clients can feel confident that we are staying secure, for their benefit, and to keep them obviously as secure as possible, and to keep their customers' PII as secure as possible.
Great stuff, Ilana. Thank you so much for joining me today. One last question I like to ask all of our guests. Is there any other thing that we haven't touched on about Fullpath that you'd like to share?
We did touch on a lot. So first of all, thank you so much for the interesting questions. Thank you for hosting, and thank you for letting me share a little bit about the company. So we have a live launch event every single quarter. It's something that we love talking about because it's very core to our company DNA. It's our commitment to innovation. It means that every single quarter we come out with a really interesting feature or new product. And we just recently came out with the upgraded version of the Omni AI agent that is also powered by deep thinking. So all of those live launch events are hosted on our website, and you can see the recent one there as well under technology on the main menu, and then live launch. And there you could see our most recent AI agent powered by deep thinking, and it can give everyone just a little bit more context and color around how we think about our AI agents and how we layer it into the CDP.
Ilana, thanks again for joining me on Executive Spotlight today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.